So what did he say about you? What did he say about you?
After Ramon gets fourth, he wants to like take the soft, he wants to shit on me, but I just gave my Brazilian resume to you, so you can shove that down. He can go on his little show with 8 million people and say how he's going to prep Ramon for the next show. What's the guy's name? Renato, whatever the guy with the 8 million followers. I had 4.
Yeah, Renato.
4 of the questionable methods.
O Cris Aceto respondeu o Cariani após o Renato e grande parte do público dizer que o Ramon deveria tirar o Aceto da equipe e substituí-lo. O Aceto deu algumas declarações polêmicas, diretas sobre o Cariani, e o clima esquentou com essa divergência de opiniões. Whey de 1 kg, creatina, uma coqueteleira e uma camiseta de treino por menos de R$180 no Pix ou boleto. Você só encontra na Growth Suplementos. Isso porque a Growth é a empresa que oferece o melhor custo-benefício do mercado. E você pode comprovar isso visitando o site, montando o seu próprio kit de suplementação. Mas é claro que a Growth não deixa faltar nada quando o assunto é qualidade, já que tem, por exemplo, a creatina e o Whey mais avaliados do Brasil. E é por isso que atletas e influenciadores como Renato Cariani, Léo Stronda, Júlio Balestrin, Kaique Pro, Felipe Franco, Fábio Giga, entre vários outros, só utilizam Growth e aprovam a qualidade dos produtos. E você pode utilizar o cupom NOTICIASMAROMBA para ganhar um bom desconto na hora da sua compra. Aquele kit montado por a gente, por exemplo, sairia por menos de R$177. Então não perde tempo, o link para o site oficial vai estar aqui na descrição. O Cris Aceto estava sendo bastante criticado pelo público desde o final do Olímpia, com o Ramon ficando na 4ª colocação, principalmente por causa da condição apresentada pelo Dino. Inclusive o Instagram do Aceto está simplesmente cheio de comentários de brasileiros, o criticando por causa do resultado do Dino. Nós já trouxemos vídeos aqui sobre isso. No mais recente, o Cariani até comenta que o Aceto é um ótimo coach, mas que acredita que o Ramon deveria sim mudar de coach, para experimentar novos ares, novas experiências, novos métodos e etc. No mesmo vídeo, o Cariani também mandou real sobre a possível demissão do Faixa. E nós recomendamos bastante que você confira esse vídeo para ficar por dentro de tudo. Deixaremos ele nos cards aqui no final desse vídeo, até porque praticamente no mesmo momento em que o Cariani estava no Flow Podcast, acontecia uma live com a participação do Aceto no canal RX Muscle, que é o canal do Dave Palumbo. Acontece que nessa live o Aceto decidiu responder às críticas do público. Ele também respondeu diretamente o Renato Cariani, com falas pesadas que tem dado o que falar, e até mesmo falou sobre a atual situação do Brandão, e o clima esquentou por lá. Então bora lá conferir, mas se liga nisso, mais de 50% das pessoas que assistem aqui os vídeos não são inscritos. Muitas delas acreditam que estão inscritas, mas quando vou ver acabam percebendo que não estão. E a maioria só percebe quando fazemos esses alertas aqui. Então confirma aqui embaixo se você segue inscrito aqui no canal, que não leva nem 2 segundos. Dessa forma você vai se manter sempre atualizado de tudo que está acontecendo no meio maromba. Dito isso, bora lá conferir.
Just something to think about, guys. Now, Chris, you had a little run-in. Explain what's going on with the whole Brazilian press that you're in.
Oh, no, you can put up. I sent you the picture. So someone sent it to me, and you can put it up. It's what's the guy's name?
Renato Cariani. I'll pull him up. I'll pull his Instagram up. He's got a very popular. Here he is. He's got 8.6 million followers on Instagram.
The Oprah Winfrey of Brazil, but he's probably. But he preps people, and so here he is. The headline is like he's talking. I don't agree with Chris's methods, and of course, prior to this, he's the opposite. Saying, Chris is the best. Chris is the best, and I just want to remind him that he's a small prep. He preps people. So I don't know if he thinks.
Why does he have so many followers, Chris? That's the question.
Because he's a good interviewer, probably. But okay.
So he's popular in Brazil. In other words, is that what you're saying? Okay.
He should remind his listeners in Brazil only that every show Rafael Brandão ever competed in, he was in great shape.
Right. So what did he say about you? What did he say about you?
After Ramon gets fourth, he wants to like take the soft, he wants to shit on me, but in a soft way. And I'm sure the soft way is simply because, if Ramon comes back and dominates shows, then he looks like an idiot. So, he's hedging his bets. It's what it's called. So he can remind his listeners during the show that like I said, Rafael Brandeis was in shape at every single show that I prepped him for. Eduardo Correa's Brazilian. You know, he's kind of been in shape for every single show. I prepped Ricardo Correa, who lives in Brazil, Rude Boy. He was peeled when I helped him. Ramon, of course. Marcelo Alfonsi just turned pro in the 212, and he beat Fabricio Moreira, which is one of the best 212 bodybuilders in Brazil. He just got his pro card in the Olympia.
Right.
And he's Fabricio. William Martins is Brazilian. He got his pro card with me. He was placing second, third, fourth, and fifth in very competitive pro shows and beaten Olympians, and peeled out of his mind when I was coaching him. He's Brazilian. Good Vito is not Brazilian, but he lives there.
Right.
Alan Bonadaman, great professional bodybuilder, you know, needs more size, but he's always peeled, well coached. And Matt Grego, who just 1 year ago from the New York Pro, he was at the New York Pro, and he lost to, what's the guy's name? Junior Jaworski, who's a really good Olympian. And Matt got, you know, 6 at that show, and I think Junior was second. And 1 year later, Matt beats a Brazilian at the New York Pro, Eric Wildeberger, and comes to this show 20 pounds bigger than last year's Olympia. That's not an exaggeration, 20 pounds. And he beats, amazingly, incredible classic competitors from Brazil, including Gabriel Zaccanelli, Gabriel. Yeah, he's really good. And Fabio Jr., who's a really good classic guy. And I also helped, I used to coach Fernando Maradona, who's really well known in Brazil. So, but, you know, he wants to spout off to his 8 million, you know, people who listen to him. Well, you know, I've always questioned those methods. You know, maybe you don't even know, maybe the methods are so outside the box and you're thinking inside the box that sure you would question them. But I just gave my Brazilian resume to you, so you can, you know, shove that down, you know, wherever he wants to shove it. My rant. So all the Brazilians can pick it up tomorrow, and he can go on his little show with 8 million people and say how he's going to prep Ramon for the next show.
Well, you know, I don't think Ramon looked bad for the show. I don't know why.
Maybe he can call Rafael because, you know, he struggled the last 2 shows with his condition.
I thought that Ramon looked good. I think that Mike Summerfield was great. I think he was a shocker in that classic physique lineup. I don't think, you know, Bumstead was typical Bumstead. Urs, you know, raised his game up a little bit. I thought his tan was pretty bad. But I thought that the top 4 were stellar. I mean, I don't think you can really criticize them. I mean, what would, if as Ramon's coach, what would you like to have seen better on Ramon at this show?
I would have seen the prejudging start Dave 30 minutes before or B 3 hours later, because I was backstage with, you know, I went backstage. I saw Matt Grego there. I had like 4 people in the classic. What's the guy's name? Renato, whatever the guy with the 8 million followers. I had 4.
Yeah, Renato.
4 of the questionable methods. 4 times the questionable methods work to get guys wins to get into that show. I went over and, you know, I saw Ramon backstage, and Freddie, who promotes the Texas Pro. The quote is, "I've never seen condition like that."
Right.
And I looked and I said, "Yeah, I'm going to go sit down." And then he came out, of course, and he was like a YouTube video of the sweating bodybuilder. You know, he started to sweat like crazy. His tan was rubbing, you know, falling right off him.
Yeah.
You couldn't see what he looked like at all, really. And Breon, the best. I mean, the classic guys are the best. You know, they support. I mean, I'm not saying the open guys wouldn't do it too, but Breon, like, telling him, you got to wipe your sweat off while he's competing against him.
Right.
And so, you know, prejudging ends, and he's probably in 4th, maybe even 5th. I'd say 4th. And then I went to the hotel after the prejudge, and somebody pretty prominent in the sport came to the room to talk to Ramon. And he wanted to see what Ramon looked like. This was probably within 2.5 hours after the show, and he looked the exact same as when I had left him prior to going on the stage. He was peeled, and I know the person looking at him wanted to pick him apart and say, "See, you know what the problem is," and he just hit all the poses, and the guy didn't say one word in terms of being spot on.
Yeah.
Well, I think that,
you know, answer to that. That's a long-winded answer to the prejudging having started 30 minutes when I left, prior to when I left him, or whatever it was, 2.5, 3 hours later when the guy came to the room. They're like, not read him the riot act, but probably tell him, let me see what you look like, and this is where you got to tighten up, or this is what you got to do, or this is what you should do, or think about this. He came to give advice, which was, good of him. But he couldn't really give any advice when it came to anything, with the exception of how to hit the back double better.
Well, I think my personal view is I think his conditioning was phenomenal. I think that when I saw Mike Sommerfeld in second place, I almost couldn't believe that he made weight, because this guy looks like a bodybuilder. He's so big. I mean, he's got great proportion. His conditioning was awesome. I don't know how he made the weight class, to be honest with you, which I think is what's Ramon's problem is, if I'm not wrong, is every time he has to suck down to make that weight, he's losing some of that fullness that he probably would benefit from greatly on that stage. And sometimes, especially in Vegas, it's got to be very hard to get guys rehydrated after they make weight, because my voice is, all the moisture just gets completely sucked out of you there. It was so hot and it was so dry there that you just dehydrated standing around almost, Were you having problems keeping them full because of that, Chris?
I think it's always, a little challenging to keep them full, because, the true answer to that is at 108, that's 12 pounds over.
Right.
He's ready, and his condition at 108 probably beats 99 out of 100 people in the top 10 at the Olympia. So his condition is, you would see it, Dave, and you would definitely say your condition is better at 109, because of the, it might not be as intricate as having to make the weight at 103, but at 109 you're blasting full. Just, pushing against the skin. So even if you're holding a little bit of water when you flex it, you don't really even care about that little bit of water. So, moving down is always, it's been a challenge every single show. And the irony is, well, they did move the weight cap up. But every single show is a last, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 day struggle of how do you get there, because some years it's been impossible to get there. You know what I mean? It's your day out and you're still 2 pounds over, and there's nothing else to do other than don't breathe, So the answer is it's a challenge.
Pois é, galera, essas foram as declarações do Aceto, mas qual a sua opinião sobre tudo isso? Deixa o seu comentário aqui embaixo, o vídeo vai ficando por aqui, um abraço a todos e até a próxima.